You sometimes have to wonder why the Labour Party's economic policies, under the supervision of John McDonnell, recreation in who's who, generally fomenting the overthrow of capitalism, don't go the whole hog. Take this week's announcement about cutting the price of rail fares by a third as part of rail renationalisation. Why stop at a third? We've been promised free broadband, once Labour have nationalised chunks of BT, and their competitors, if they won't play ball. The Royal Mail and water, electricity and gas companies will be nationalised, too. If the state can afford literally hundreds of billions of pounds to buy such firms, while only those earning more than £80,000 a year will pay any more tax, why a measly 33% off? If pensioners and those under 16 will go free, why can't we all? One reason maybe is that Labour's economic policy is a demented fantasy of such profligacy that it makes Venezuela's socialism, McDonnell's model, until it went bankrupt with an inflation rate that has increased by 60 million% over the past 3 years, look like Ebenezer Scrooge haggling in Poundland. But let's leave that minor quibble aside. Assume we could afford to renationalise rail. We can't. Ignore the fact that the bit that doesn't work is the bit that's nationalised. It is, and forget that, for some reason, it's a tremendously popular policy, even though 90% of the population don't use trains to get to work, and 40% never use them at all. The first question is why nationalisation would improve the railways. There's no obvious reason why being owned by the state would magically improve services, or reduce costs. Indeed, the empirical evidence is the reverse. British Rail performed poorly, was indeed a national joke, from the 1960s to 1993s, when it was privatised. The golden ages of railways were the Victorian period, with more than 120 private companies, and 1923 to 1940, when the Big Four carried more passengers, and even covered more miles, than the entire US network, despite the differences in population and distances, and reduced costs by 15% during the period. There's no reason why being owned by the government would make fares cheaper. What matters there is government subsidy. It's true that British fares can be ridiculous. Absurdly, it's often cheaper to fly and, surreally, there was a recent story about a man who bought, fueled and insured a car for a journey for less than the ticket price. But that's if you don't plan ahead or travel regularly. Contrary to popular belief, UK fares are near the bottom of the international tables for railcard and advance tickets, while season tickets have fallen 12% in real terms in the past 2 decades. Passengers have doubled, safety has improved, and spending on infrastructure accounts for 98% of the money the rail come. For more on this story, visit the news article link.